This is KUGAN CASSIUS for IFL TV in association with MTK Global. Absolutely delighted to be joined all the way in Las Vegas with Mr. Francis Ngannou. Francis, how are you?
I'm good. And you?
Very well. Appreciate your time. I just want to shout out Sam Jones, who arranged this interview. Thank you very much for your time.
Always.
How's life in Las Vegas at the moment, considering what's going on in the world?
I mean, life is almost back right now. Everything is open. Most of business is like it's still like half capacity, but you know, it's been very nice to be back to normal. I mean, at least to what looks like normal, because the last 2-3 months wasn't easy. You know, everything was closed, but now that they are open, life look way more different and better.
We've seen obviously Top Rank, who are based in Las Vegas, bring boxing back with 2 shows in the last week and a half. So for us boxing fans here, we're missing the boxing. We know the UFC's on, but we're missing the boxing as well.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's how we. The UFC was very tough to like be able to put on event, you know. But besides that, everything was shut down, like NBA, NFL, hockey, baseball, all of those sports. Nothing has been kept going. Only the UFC. So yeah, you have to settle with that for now.
Absolutely. Francis, I know you've spoken about this on many occasions, but your backstory and where you were like 7-8 years ago compared to where you are now is incredible. You know, when we kind of hear about you growing up in Cameroon and how you went over to Paris when you were 26 without a plan and, you know, without any money, without any friends, to get from that point to where you are now is incredible.
Yeah. It's been a great journey, and a very excited as well. You know, I think at some point I didn't feel like he was hurt because I was very passionate and excited about it. So I came through obstacles, even without realize that there were obstacles there, because I was so passionate about what is ahead of me. So I couldn't just like see obstacles, because my focus was on the goal, you know. So then I step in on top of the obstacle and get there to make it happen, you know. But obviously, once again, it's just I'm still on my way. It's not like I have arrived yet. I haven't done. Like I'm still doing it.
Francis, when you first had ideas to go into combat sport, I understand that your first aspirations was to get into boxing. So why the switch before you kind of went into boxing? Did you go to MMA all those years ago?
I didn't really switch. Like when I went in France, I discovered MMA, and then I was doing both. But obviously, MMA was the one who was like open and who gave me the chance, you know. So I took it because I was doing it, and then at some point I just started to fight. And I kept fighting just because I was getting paid, and I do need that money at the time. I really need it. And then, like 2 years after, unexpectedly, they just announced me that I have my UFC contract. Like, then I'm like, okay, I can't turn this kind of opportunity down for some upcoming opportunity that you don't know whenever he's coming, or even if he's coming, how long are gonna keep holding up to this situation, you know? So let's just take this and see what's happened. Give it all out there, do your best, and see what happened.
When you were 26 and you made that move and that transition to Paris, how difficult was that time in Paris for you while you were trying to find your feet and work out what you wanted to do?
You know, in Paris, being in Paris at the first time, I didn't feel the difficulty. Why? Because my journey from Cameroon to Paris was a hell of journey. You know, it was just unbelievable tough. You know, so like when you've been through something like that, and then you end up being in Paris, even as a homeless, you're just excited and happy to be free. I, I mean, I never been happy like than when I made it in Paris the first time, even though I didn't have money and I was homeless. I was very excited and happy because I succeed. I made it through the obstacle. Unbelievably, I made it. So yeah, I didn't think about it that time as a difficulty. And then when I saw people who were talking to me, and there was like showing, they were like merciful. Then I'm like, please, not for me. Don't care about me. I'm just like happy. I've been looking for since my very young age. I've been looking for opportunity, and then actually this is the land of opportunity. So let's go out there and get something and make something happen. You know. So yeah, at that time I was uh, very faithful, very self-believing, and then very optimist about everything. You know, couldn't let nothing negative came through my mind. Reject everything negative, every negative thought or advice or whatever, but just take on the positive. Like, and then I knew it. I knew it wasn't easy. Uh, so I didn't allow like negativity to fuck around. Like if meet somebody and then he just started to talk like, yes, it's not easy, you might not gonna make it, then I just cut the person. I don't find hang out with that person anymore, not at all, because I know at the moment where I am, I needed the positive to go out of there. The negative wouldn't help me at all. So the only, I think that's what helped me as well to get out of there. Yeah.
Francis, what were you doing when you got to Paris to survive, to earn money? I'm assuming you had to go and find some kind of work somewhere. So what were you doing in that period in order to survive and to earn money?
Well, I went to some foundation. You know, in France, there is a lot of foundation giving, helping homeless. Um, and then some of those foundation was helping me. And plus the fact that when I get there, the next day I just found a gym right away because that was my goal. No time to lose. Like I walk to the gym and I tell them straight up, like I don't have money, I don't have anything, but the only thing that I would like to have is some place to train because I'm gonna be a world champion. And yes, and then I found a very good people in the gym, and then who build and befriend around me started to help me as well. Also, since I didn't have a job, sometime I would go to this foundation to help, and then I also eat there. But some friend as well took me to the nightclub, so like a bouncer, like to replace somebody in the nightclub as a bouncer. Like I was a big body and everything, tough. So yes, they took me sometime. Sometime they would just call me at night, like, okay, can you meet us this place to replace this body? So I become like some sort of mercenary of bouncer. So I did that for like 3 years. I mean, like very, very fast, very quick. I became a permanent bouncer on the weekend, on a Saturday night, and then even one of the most liked because everyone wanted me to work on his nightclub. But you know, and it was a good thing for me since the nightclub was only the weekend and I could train for the week, train freely in the week because my goal was just to train. I didn't want a full-time job who occupied me and then doesn't allow me to train. So I wanted something exactly like that. So it was like a perfect thing for me. So I kept training the whole week, and then the weekend I worked to the nightclub just to have enough money. By then I found a house somewhere like in the suburban. Uh, I mean, some room in somebody's house in the suburban. So I started pay. Yeah. Then I keep building up, you know, until like I think 6 months after that, after I get in Paris, I was little. I was making it a little bit up. Like I remember I have saving money. So like I um I sent $500 to my mom like 6 months after right after, because I checked my bag once, then I found that I have money like almost 800 saving. Then I'm like, well, this is doing pretty well. Then I sent like 500 to my mom, like, okay, enjoy it, because he has been a rough time. Then I keep moving, and things started to change, to move up little by little, and then here we are in Vegas.
To be honest, if I owned a nightclub, I would want you as a bouncer as well, Francis, to be honest.
Yeah, but I won't walk to your nightclub anymore. I'm not born to be
No,
a bouncer.
back then, years ago. Years ago, I'd want you there anyway.
Okay. That's nice. Thank you.
Francis, do you look back, or do you think back to how life could have been very different for you, especially when you was in Cameroon? If you'd got involved in gang culture back then, how different your life could be? Do you ever look back and think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even have to look back to think about it, because somehow, even when I was there, I have like some clarity in my mind, and um, you know, I got approached by many gang people, many thieves who wanted me to be part in their gang, in their group, because they find maybe because they find some skills on me, and I was a big guy, very scary. But I always like have certain clarity about those kind of things. Like there's this question. I always ask this question: what would be the end? Like they always end up in the same way, either with a bullet in their back, either in the prison. Like that's the only option that they end up. They might be out there for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, but once they always get caught. And then when they get caught, everything falls apart. Like everything falls apart. And it's just shameful. I couldn't even imagine myself in that kind of thing, being in that kind of situation. I was afraid of that. Like, you know, I grew up caring about my reputation. So everything that can step on top of my reputation, I get away of that. No doubt about it. I don't have to deal with something who's gonna step on my reputation, and those kind of thing wasn't a thing that I could have do it. And basically because I was like asking myself, I always have the self believing of myself, so I knew that I gonna make it. I gonna make it. Like if I keep doing something, I mean, I haven't even started boxing yet. I haven't find a gym, nothing. Couldn't even eat, but I knew something inside me always told me that you're gonna make it, you know, like, and I truly believe it. And I believe it in the point that people around me thought I was going crazy. Like, I mean, even my family, they was like, you're crazy. How can you believe such a thing? Then I'm like, I don't know, but I feel it. It's just a feeling. It's not like my mind overthinking or over expecting, but it's a feeling. And I was like, please come down, come back to the reality, and then settle to the real life. I'm like, yes, but this also is a real life. So why can it don't happen? Just happen? Then they were like, no one has done that. It's not possible. I'm like, okay, let me find out if it's not possible, but I have to find out on my own. Not gonna set my life on somebody's judgment. I'm gonna set my life on my own opinion, because that's what life is for. Nobody knows. Nobody knows exactly how life is, and then they don't have a direct like a book notice to like tell you how to live life. You're always gonna find out there, and if you let somebody find out on your own, then that's a mistake, because if you fail, you're failing for that person life. You're living that person life, not your own. But if you live your own and fail, it's still better than living somebody life. So I decided to try on my own, to do my own. I knew that I could have failed, but I was okay with that as long as I try and give it all. I mean, I wouldn't consider that as a failure, but as a lesson for life. So that was always my uh, uh, perspective of life.
Mm. Now, Francis, obviously everyone knows you in the UFC, but your name has come quite prominently into the boxing world over the last few months because of a situation or potential fight, we don't know yet, but with Mr. Dillian Whyte. So where did that all start with Dillian Whyte and the prospect of you two having a fight, whether that be in the cage or the ring or both? Where did it all start?
I think Dylan Whyte is the person to answer that question, because, to be honest, I didn't know much about Dylan Whyte. Then people started to send me like a link or interview of Dylan Whyte talking shit about me. Then I'm like, okay, who is this guy exactly? Like, yes, I know I have seen it. I have seen it a few times on boxing, but um, in the ring. But I'm like, okay, what's going on with him? Then didn't pay attention. And he was like, yes, I'm gonna go to the UFC. I can knock him out in the Octagon and this. I'm like, you know, at some point, everyone want to knock you down, knock you out. Everyone can knock you out until you get in the Octagon. When you get in there, things change. So I thought if he's really want, he's gonna reach out to the right person, because he know where to find me. And once they told me that I have an interview, it's gonna be this with Eddie Hearn. Then we find out that Dylan White was on it, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? Then Eddie Hearn was talking about how he's going to talk to Dana White or whatever. But since then, I haven't heard nothing. So I don't know.
So obviously, for people that don't know, yeah, there was supposedly going to be like a joint press conference, press conference between yourself and Dylan Whyte and Eddie Hearn, which we didn't get to see because there was some clearance issues. I
No,
understand.
no, that wasn't a press conference. So let's be clear about it. That wasn't a press conference. I get interview because when they say press conference talk about uh, lead up a fight, a real fight, and then nothing has been said. And I'm in the UFC. I'm in the contract with UFC. I cannot make any press conference with Eddie Hearn without the UFC approval. So when nothing has been done in that sense, we can talk about press conference.
Yeah.
You know, that was just a talk, a potential interview with us on board, but it wasn't a press conference.
Yeah, I think it was the style Eddie Hearn is doing this like a fantasy press conference. I know what you're saying. It's not actually a press conference. It was just a joint interview between you and Dylan and Eddie. It wasn't a press conference. I understand that. But I mean, Eddie Hearn obviously told us, and also we learned from Dylan Whyte that there was a moment there where Dylan Whyte was trying to wind you up by talking about Joyce, which involved Sam Jones. Can you talk to me about that situation? What happened there?
About what situation?
About Dylan Whyte saying that that Joyce had knocked you out in sparring, etc., to try and wind you up.
Oh well, I didn't know the guy, but as long as much I can tell about him, is like you can't take his word for credit. So that's something for sure. I don't think the only thing I trust in Dylan Whyte is his fighting skills, because you see that in the octagon, but everything came out of his mouth doesn't worth nothing.
Sam Jones obviously talks very, very highly of you, and he said that you had some very good spars with Joyce.
Yeah, I mean, I was here, we were here, and then I saw them in the UFC PI. He was training for his fight against Dubois, and I was training also for my fight. Then I went to the gym once for like sparring, and we have a nice sparring, like he was a boxing sparring. I haven't done boxing for quite a while, but it was good sparring. Joe Joyce. I know him since the Olympia game, like I think was 20, no, 2012. No, I didn't know him by then, but I saw his fight, and I saw him in the World Cup because he fought this French boxer Tony Yoka.
Yeah.
And he also fought him in the Olympia game final. So yes, I knew Joe Joyce very well.
Mm. Were they good spars though between you?
And yeah. Of course. I mean, Joe is he's a big and tough guy. He was a very good sparring, even though like at first I had a hard time to handle his jab, like like I haven't deal with somebody who has to jab like that, and I was taking his jab like boom, boom on my face. I'm like, okay, you have to handle this, Francis. You have to handle this, otherwise you won't make it. Yeah, but then I started to understand head movement, everything. Then we have a very good sparring. It was very, very good. Yeah.
We know obviously if you're to come into the boxing world from the UFC at any point, we know you've spoken about this situation with Dillian Whyte. But do you have any interest in facing someone like Tyson Fury, Francis?
Yeah. In case you don't know, we and Tyson Fury has been back and forth for a little while, but lately we haven't talked about it anymore. But he also mentioned the idea of coming to MMA and fighting me for somehow, and then then I agreed the challenge and I offer him to return him the favor in the ring because I'm gonna beat him up in the octagon. Yeah, and then he seems serious because at some point he posted some video that he went to train with Darren Steele, to do his MMA, to get ready for his MMA career. But I don't know. I'm here, and then if they don't come, I will go find them.
How do you think? This might be a difficult question to answer, but how do you think Tyson Fury would make that adaptation into the octagon?
I think he can make it. Tyson Fury is very smart, very talented and skilled fighter. So he wouldn't say something like that if he didn't have a plan and know exactly how he's gonna do it. He's not dumb. He's not stupid. So he knows exactly what he's talking about. So yeah, I think he has a. I think he can do great.
How would you do in the boxing ring though against Tyson Fury, who many consider to be the #1 heavyweight?
How would I do? I mean, if I just say, yeah, I'm gonna go there and beat Tyson Fury, that means I'm going out of my mind. Yes, like he's probably the #1 guy in the boxing, but what I said is like I can make it. You know, I have my chance, and I'm sure about that. You know, I have my own chance. So if I put some work in boxing, I have my chance against Fury.
When do you think realistically you will have a fight in the boxing ring though?
When? I don't know. Let's see how things plays out.
I will ask you about Jon Jones as well. People have spoken about that fight. Something again that would interest you if Jon Jones was to come up to heavyweight.
Definitely. I mean, people has been asking me about Jon Jones fights for over years now, and then so it's kind of like burk me because like Jon Jones is not heavyweight. Unless he goes up to heavyweight, I'm not going down to light heavyweight to fight Jon Jones. So yeah, that has always been my answer. Like if he comes up to heavyweight, yes, then we're definitely gonna fight. But and then lately he shown some intention of moving up to heavyweight. Then like we started talk back and forth, and he came out with this news that the UFC don't want to pay him like he would like, or they don't want to pay him more. And yes, this where this idea fall apart. But yeah, he's something that I will really willing to take it. And I know this fight is gonna happen sometime in the future. It's gonna happen. I think it's just a matter of time. It's such a big fight that they cannot just let him down like this. Maybe it's just because of what's going on in the world right now, the crisis and everything, so they can afford certain event, certain huge event, or risk too much.
Okay, Francis, I much appreciate your time today. I know obviously you're busy, etc. So very grateful for you to come onto IFL TV to give this interview. And yeah, we'll see what happens, whether that's UFC or boxing or whichever it is. Yeah, let's just hope we get the big fights coming sooner rather than later.
Yeah, whatever is it, one thing is sure, I'll keep rolling.
You keep yourself safe, and hopefully we get to catch up again soon.
Okay, thank you, KUGAN. Thank you for having me on the show.
Absolute pleasure. KUGAN CASSIUS here with Francis Ngannou in Las Vegas for IFL TV. Thank you very much.